emotions within me have been poking out a little bit further. Yeah, certain emotions, sure.
Care to share?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, what triggered it?
See, is something I've been trying to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it is just a result of my mind and my brain physically healing from the last relapse I had. Yeah, and as it's continuing to heal, because initially, when I first tried this path of sobriety, yeah, it was the same thing. After about a year, a lot of emotions started coming back. And this time it's only been, I think, about like 5 or 6 months. And I wouldn't say that the emotions were not there, because I had regained it to a certain extent. But now, because my training has gotten more rigorous and life has unfolded with new events and things like that, and my mind is healing, certain emotions are becoming stronger. And I've been having to consciously navigate through the thought process of having those types of emotions. The number 2 emotions, the only ones I can actually point out, are anxiety and anger. Yeah.
And they're coming back.
They're coming back. But they've always been there to a small degree, somewhat. But then now it's like starting to get stronger. Yeah. And that's how I've been feeling. It hasn't really affected my day-to-day. It's just been more like affecting my thought process, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Because all the years and all the conversations that me and you both have about self-awareness and things like that, having the ability to look at ourselves in a third perspective, that tool has been beneficial, especially during this, to sit back and be like, why am I feeling like this? And kind of coaching myself through these things, And recently I've made a new friend, and she is very embracing when I open up and I talk to her about these things, And so it feels nice. Obviously I cherish the conversations we have, but you're a busy guy, you have family and things like that. And with her, I spend a lot of time with her.
Yeah, the day-to-day is a big difference.
Yeah, and having that physical human being there to talk to me in those moments, like right then and there, it helps me gain a perspective and think about it in certain ways, And it helps me snap out of my train of thought that's fueled by that emotion, because sometimes we get so enveloped into it, And without another outside force talking to us, that becomes our reality sometimes, and we're unaware of it.
Yeah, and it just ping pongs up there. It just stays in that nook.
Yeah, it's like when the emotion comes up, it's like a big field, like an orb that you're stuck inside, like a bubble, and you're not aware of it, right? That's how I feel it, envision it in my head. And yeah, sometimes you need something to poke that bubble open and talk to you through it, Yeah. So that is how I've been feeling for the last week. You ask what triggers it. I don't know, but I think one thing is that I don't want to talk too much about this, but I have a fight coming up on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I don't really think about it too much, because it's just like another day, because I train every day, right? And so it's just another day, but maybe the reality of it coming and me having to maybe do something outside of the ordinary is causing me to feel like that. And yeah, and just having a life change of having met a new friend and a different dynamics in my life right now, and that pathway opening up, and I'm feeling that first emotion, all these other emotions are spreading out. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
I'm curious if those emotions coming out are, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you word it as relapse?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think it was because those were such autopilot things in the past?
The emotions?
Yeah. The anxiety, the fears. Anxiety and angers.
Well, for as long as I could remember, all of the things that I was doing, not only just drugs and alcohol, but the toxic environments and the people and the conversations and things like that, the high stimulating experiences that I would give myself, whether that be physical, mental, whatever, subconsciously I feel like I was just doing that to numb my mind so I wouldn't feel any of those things,
Like pushing that shit down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like completely destroying my mind and overstimulating it so I don't feel anything at all, Like maybe like a self-defense mechanism because I was scared to face those emotions.
Yeah.
Because, I just didn't have the mental tools to be able to navigate and work my way through those problems,
At the time.
At the time.
Yeah. So them fools are coming back up.
Yeah, right now, dude, for sure. Yeah. And it's very, like, it's coming back, and it's like, the thing is that I have simplified my life so much where I don't have outside, I've tried to mitigate as much outside influence in my life as possible in terms of like relationships with people, obligations, things like that, right? And so I live a very maybe a calm or less stimulating experience of a life. And so when I get these emotions, like I don't have other things to distract me from this emotion, and I don't fall back to drugs or alcohol anymore as a way of compensation for anything,
Yeah.
And so now I'm sitting here just like
having to face it.
I live in it,
Yeah. So, I'm curious because I don't, walk your path. I know you said this before. Our hearts don't beat in other people's hearts, right?
Yes.
But when you share this thing and think about it before sharing, it actually brings up to me my anxieties a lot, being a creative in business.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about it before, right? Like the term numb comes about because, as an entrepreneur, you gotta make money and make ends meet, right? And so you don't have the luxuries of a bi-weekly paycheck, right? To cover your bills, to cover your expenses, right? You can eat as you go, right? But I used to come from having that stability of a paycheck, right? And so instead of dealing with it at the time, like, oh fuck, when's my next meal coming up, or am I gonna be able to make rent next month? Instead of dealing with it and processing and reassuring myself that I got this, we'll find a way, I used to suppress that shit. And it's been years of doing that has almost become a DNA to suppress it. And I'm realizing now that whenever those anxieties come up, it be coming up in times when I don't need to have those freak out moments. It'd be like I'll just be hanging out with my daughter, having breakfast, and all of a sudden I just start tweaking, like I start shaking my feet, just like, oh, I gotta go do work or something. But I'm starting to realize that it's just that emotion that I trained to be pushed away. It's coming up even in moments I don't need it to come up. So I wonder if this is the same thing we're talking about.
So from what I know so far about just like the mind and emotions is that regardless of experiences, because a lot of people try to say, yeah man, I understand what you're saying, Yeah, I understand what you went through. But in reality, no one in the world can understand what anybody went through. Because how could you
Yeah.
possibly do that, right? I think to make it more clear in what they're trying to say is that I can understand the emotion that you're going through. Maybe not the experience, but I can understand the emotion, right? I think emotions are the underlining spiritual connection that we all have with each other.
Yeah.
You know, because I might not know this person, but I could be sitting next to this person, and I could recognize that they are angry.
Yeah.
I could recognize that they are sad or scared. I could recognize that they are happy, right? I don't know why they are, but it makes me happy that they're happy. You know, sometimes you ever sit next to somebody and like they're super angry and frustrated, and then it just makes you super angry and frustrated. Sometimes it rubs off on.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's worse if you know that person.
Yes, sir.
You know, that walks in the room all fucking ticked off.
Yeah.
And then you start questioning, oh, did I do something?
Yeah. And then, you know, the whole mix of, you know.
Yeah.
But talking about what you were speaking on, I noticed one thing, and I'm going to just share this with you because I want to ask you for your experience, right? Is because sometimes we wonder, like, where are these spouts of anxiety coming from? And, you know, you went from having the stability of a paycheck, right? To going to working in your own business. And obviously the sky's the limit in the business, right? No one can tell you how much to work, how much money to make. You get to make all those deciding factors for yourself. With the maybe, and this is how I felt at certain times, where it's like the fear of not having stability, so we chase whatever monetary gains in whatever ways that we can. We overload ourselves because the sensation of having a lot of things to do gives us now I feel the false sense of stability, right? And that overstimulates the mind, so you don't feel any emotions like fear, anger, anxiety, whatever. You know, you just completely numb it out because we're always constantly thinking about the projects objectively, right? And when I was going through sobriety in the beginning, I had to really sit and consciously see what kind of feelings I was having. And one of the biggest ones was I could not figure out why. That every single time when I start feeling emotions again, I started feeling some kind of peace or joy. Within 5 or 10 seconds, it never fails, I would get a huge, overwhelming sensation of anxiety. Like I couldn't bear it, you know? I had to go do something like go back to the shop, or I had to just fill my mind up with projects or something like that, because I feel like because that feeling of calm, peace, happiness, it was like unreal to me. And I was scared of being too invested into that emotion.
Like you didn't deserve it or something?
Or like it's gonna get taken away from me. And that would break my heart even more, you know? Maybe in psychology, I'm no psychologist yet, but just from my understanding, maybe that's just a trauma response.
Yeah.
Having things taken away from us, you know? And I've been trying to figure that out too, and at least from my own experience, like that was what it was. And from you describing when you're with your daughter, and you're sitting there and you're, you know, maybe trying to enjoy your time with her, and you're like, oh man, I'm at home, like this is nice. And within that first few seconds of you like, oh cool, this is cool, then boom, it's like, oh no, I can't be thinking like this. Because like in your words, it becomes almost like DNA for you to overstimulate your mind, because that's what you are telling yourself that's providing you disability in your life.
Right.
But in reality, and let's say that is the case, right? But in reality, it's actually providing nothing but instability in your life. Because if we're talking about in terms of balance, the world doesn't tailor to us. We have to find balance by balancing ourselves to the world. If times are good, times are good. If times are bad, times are bad. If emotions are flowing through, if we are constantly a rock that doesn't feel any type of emotions, and we're flatlining through this spectrum of life, and we're avoiding everything in that sense, then maybe we are actually harming ourselves, and it's more detrimental to any type of experience that we can have. You know, like we're robbing ourselves of that. Because that numb feeling, I still feel it. You know, it's like it was like withering away to certain extents, and then I started like having hope, and some days are colorful, some days are gray. You know. Now that I've been thinking about it more, the more that I go back into a workflow, and this is with martial arts. I train constantly. I go every day. I don't even need to think about it. I have to go 3 hours at least every single day, right? Doing that, I think it's causing my mind to go back into that mental flatline, you know? And it's feeling a lot like how it was feeling when we were clocking the 12 to 16 hour days at the tattoo shop I used to own, you know? Yeah. And I think that's a part of it. Like just that processing, you know? So yeah, when you told me that, like that's the first thing that came to my mind.
So how are you navigating that now?
Yeah.
Because the training is supposed to be self-development, right? But now is it being categorized as another overstimulation?
I don't know if it's an overstimulation, because what I'm realizing is that initially in the beginning, things were like really fun or new.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to go through a training for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes before gassing out, right? I'm still new to this, my body's still acclimating and still developing. And now I do 3 hours and I don't even mentally break a sweat. It's nothing. Sometimes though, right? But for the most part, like 20 minutes, that's nothing to me, you know? I think it's just because like, it's still the same amount of pain. It's still the same amount of physical conditioning within those 20 minutes. But I've just mentally checked out in a way. Maybe that's one way to describe it. I think I would have to talk to a professional to understand that a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
But I feel like that is just a natural habit that people who are workhorses just possess, you know. If I stop moving, things are gonna crumble. Yes. So that's like, as we're talking about this, like, I feel that's how I see it as of right now. Yeah.
I wonder if this, like, how this journey is gonna play out. You know, we are to work our way towards feeling again and not being overstimulated and having those emotions ramp up randomly. So I'm curious on what are those steps gonna look like for us? You know, whatever shape or form that is, to get out of this thought process.
Maybe it's not the ending of it, but it's just the now. What we choose to do. The habits of now. Not until later, like, okay, let me see how this feels later, or I don't think there is an end game or end goal. It's just how you choose to how much emotional intelligence and mental clarity you have just in the now, you know. I had a conversation. Now this brings back up this conversation in my mind. Is I talked to another person who is a very, very strenuous workhorse in her career, and she works day in and day out, hours on hours, sometimes 10, 12, 14 hours a day, every single day. She tries to remove all of the comforts in her life. All of her money goes to her bills. And if I'm going to be transparent, her business is failing.
Even with all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in our conversations and when we're talking as friends, I remember her telling me, like, I don't even know why I put myself into this situation. I was way more happier when I had less things. I was way more of a joyful person to be around. And my mood was always positive. Like, nothing could go wrong in my life. But because she forced herself to add on all of these responsibilities for some superficial material things that she thought was what she wanted, in reality, it didn't mean anything to her after. But now she just has this whole set of responsibilities, debts to pay, people who count on her for a paycheck, things like that. And she is completely miserable. And previous conversations I've had with this specific person is she doesn't want to feel any emotions at all because it's not conducive to her success financially. And talking to her, then hearing that, it made me very sad to hear that.
Yeah, because we were chasing dreams at one point.
Yes.
And all this other shit got stacked upon.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went through those paths.
Yes, sir.
Or still, or whatever, right? Like, it wasn't the thought to chase dreams. And then those dreams came with all this luggage.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate to hear.
And it's, and I don't want to say that I'm judging anybody in that sense, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the people of that specific group are trying to develop that same philosophy in life.
Which is?
No emotions. Just do what you need to do to make them, to be financially stable or successful. To hustle.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them, right? Because different perspectives, different minds, different wants in life, you know. But hearing that, a common thing that I'm hearing, not with just my friend, but just amongst people, is that they equal that mindset to strength.
Okay.
Being strong. That's what being strong is, you know? And I think you hear that a lot on social media nowadays too.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, fuck how you feel. Just wake up and go do it, you know?
Yeah.
Which before it's like, okay, that might work to a certain extent, but I don't think that makes you strong, you know?
Let alone sustainable.
Exactly.
Right? It could be that grit that takes you from the bottom floor to maybe the 5th floor.
Yeah.
But is it going to take you from 5th to 20 to the 100th floor?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think it also makes you very dishonest.
Yeah.
You know?
Internally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just lying to yourself. And yeah, I feel like it takes away the color in life. Makes everything by the book, black and white. Okay, you know, emotions, if we can respect it and understand it, is what makes life tasteful. Music, right? Art, things like that. If we were to watch a movie and they're all speaking monotone and just reading off a script, compared to the great acting and the emotions that are portrayed, it wouldn't be the same, right? And I feel like being in a room with people with that kind of mindset, it's very dead spiritually, you know. And so yeah, man, going through that path, like, and this continuing path, like you're saying, I don't know if like I don't know. Actually, it's like it's changing the opinions, you know, of like how I used to perceive things. Like really dialing it in, like seeing things for what it is rather than what we think it is. Which might be the same thing, I'm not sure. But
Yeah. But you're also talking about like if that's what, when it all comes down to it, is that what I still want?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, or that I want something else, something simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you brought that up. I actually wanted to talk to you about that today.
Sure.
The thought of like, I'll be happy when I get this. I'll be successful when I get this.
Yes.
That's something I still struggle with.
Okay.
A lot. You know, you and me are, you know, we say all the time, we're workhorses.
Yes.
We're gonna do this shit every day. Rain or pour. Rain or sunshine. We'll do it every day. But with this thought process in mind of like, I will be successful when I have this, sometimes it makes the day-to-day just feel mundane.
Okay.
Like I'm doing it, am I doing it just to do it? Or am I doing it because I really have fun doing it anymore? You know, sometimes I feel some doubt, you know, will I make it? Will I be successful? How do you feel about that? And like, how do you navigate that on your own?
Thank you for sharing that. So once again, removing all of the mental obligations that I used to think I used to have in terms of art and creating, right? I used to dread doing tattoos. Dread it. After like a few years of just monotonous, tedious surgical precision work, hour after hour after hour, and then drawing, and then talking to clients, and then doing all this stuff, like I hated it, you know? I did not want to do it anymore. And that false sense of stability that made me want to like, okay, let me just keep stacking on more and more. I tell myself, okay, I'll take a break. But what happens when we tell ourselves that? Let's take on 5 more clients. You know?
Can I afford to take that break?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so living like that for a while, it was crazy. And now, like up to this point, I'm enjoying tattooing more because I, thankfully to great people in my life like you, I was able to find a new place to recenter myself and reroute myself. And the responsibilities have lessened a lot, you know? I saw through all my obligations, they lessened a lot. So it doesn't require as much work and financial responsibilities to sustain the life that I'm living now. Yeah. And I'm very thankful for you for that, okay, brother? And I'm enjoying tattooing a little bit more. I'm not tattooing as much, but I'm very picky and choosy with the clients that I do take on. In terms of like, am I being forced to do this? Is this person like someone I know? Is this just a money thing right now? And I say no to a lot of work sometimes, you know? And I feel like even if I can, because just talking to clients for so many years and working with people, I can get a good read off a first conversation to see if like this is something I even want to do, not even in terms of the project, but someone I want to be around, you know? And for my own mental sake, I've just been like, nah, I'm good, you know? And being a little bit more, not necessarily in control, but allow myself to openly be honest about wanting to do that or not. and respecting how I'm feeling is making me be able to enjoy the process a little bit better. You know, one thing I haven't done in a long time though, or at least over a long duration, is pick up a pencil and draw.
Right. Your first love.
My first love.
Yeah.
I don't even think about it. You know, I have done it here and there, a little bit here and there, but it's just like, man, like I don't want to have anything to do with art and tattooing. Like, just put that on the side, you know. I think of tattoo, and people are coming up to me nowadays, and they're just like, oh yeah, man, like once you work on these projects, man, you should be making like this huge absurd amount of money every month. You should be doing like, I'm surprised that you're not, you know, and I'm surprised that you're living the way that you're living, and blah blah blah, you know. And I'm just like, you don't understand. It's not about the money. It's about my mental, just fucking livelihood, you know. And I'm recreating the relationship I have with that by not forcing myself to do it. Because art was like always something I respected. It was my friend, you know. And yeah, I didn't want to feel like I was forcing myself to do it. I wanted to just become more of a natural part of my life, you know. Because honestly, if we want to talk about success in the terms of finances, which is the last thing I feel like anybody should be doing, I can just easily create a manufactured process of creating things. In a sense where it's like I could just draw the same design over and over and over again and just sell it, you know, and just tattoo that design. It was really just about the money, you know. But that takes the joy out of it for me. Right. And I feel like for the both of us, being as passionate as we are in our careers and with the mountain of experience that we both have in our respective careers, it's like we just too smart for that, too passionate for that. We're selling ourselves short. I'm hoping that with certain business projects that are being worked on, that provided the stability financially, that if I could just do one tattoo a year, one really big tattoo, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
And just really put a lot of time, effort into that, and just freely do whatever, you know, art whenever I choose. Because then, at least at the end of the day, I'm not saying that the work I'm creating right now is not honest, but at least I can more honestly express myself through the creative mediums that I have, which is tattooing, drawing, martial arts and stuff. And I feel like that might be the case for the both of us. You know, and not to say that we're dishonest or it's hindering any technical mastery in what we do, but it is the day-to-day grind and ignoring the spiritual side of it is hindering the colorfulness of what we do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
The joy, the reason why we came in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a topic I'd like to dive a little deeper in, because I'm at a stage now where, and you know, we've had plenty of conversations off camera, right?
Yes, sir.
A stage where I have an opportunity to pursue a part of my dream that I've always dreamt about, which was scaling into like a bigger location with decked out studio and everything, all the above, you know. And we've been blessed to be here for a long time, and it's worked for us. It is feeling a little tight for it with the dreams though. You know, like I started mounting shit to the ceiling now, right? I'm concerned though. I am worried though, because with scaling comes more obligations.
Yes.
Financially, things on my plate to make those finances happen. You know, if I end up, or when I end up hiring more people, I'm gonna have to make sure their checks clear.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And now I'm at like that junction of like, I'm almost too aware now of where that will lead me and what anxiety it will cause and the amount of joy it might take away from me, you know. But then on the other hand, it's something I dreamt about for a long time.
Okay.
But I do, and I could make it work, you know. But I don't know if it's the workhorse in me talking, or is it the, you know, the reason why we came into this talking. So that right now I'm at that juncture.
I love that though. I love the idea that you want to grow, whatever it is, right? Whether that's your own personal career or whether that's in your professional production career. Like, that's so awesome to hear, at least from where I'm sitting, because I can only imagine it just started with the camera and some knowledge, and now it's like a lot of cameras and a lot of knowledge and a place, you know.
Technically, it started even simpler than that. So and we talked about this like last week, but my very first time when I had the thought of this spark that was like, you know what, this could be something.
Okay.
Right. I was in my bedroom, not bigger than this room, right? Queen size bed, closet, and my gigantic music table, right? And I am blessed, man. I have a very, very supportive wife. And I say that because there would be nights when I started networking and I started recording people, and it would be me at the table engineering, recording them, making the beat, making a ruckus, bro. It's loud as fuck in this bitch, right? And then this person that we don't even know in our bedroom, and she's on the bed sleeping because she has to work tomorrow. She's in the blanket in her PJs wearing headphones. And that was my beginning, right? I've had, you know, I mean, like you, right? We've all toyed with our passion throughout life.
Yes.
And you know, we've made strides and gotten better and networked, right? For me, that's a core memory for me of what started, right?
Okay.
And what can become that jump and that dream now is in arm's reach. You know, of the warehouse, of the decked out studio and production rooms. Well, that was a nice reflection though about coming from where I came from. But yeah, man, I do worry. Like, if I go down that path, will I intentionally fuck myself over?
So reflecting is good, to remember the humble beginnings or just those experiences, right? Because to find the way forward, we have to understand what happened in the past. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only way for ourselves.
Learn from it.
Yeah. Gain insight from it. Yeah. I think you will intentionally fuck yourself if you set it up that way. You know, if you follow the same structure that you did before, and not even just in terms of the business, but the mental structure, and how you view business and the work itself, along with the business structure, then you're going to just fall into that trap just at a bigger scale.
Yeah, and bigger anxieties.
Yeah, because same system of operations on a small scale, you're implementing that plan into a bigger place. Obviously, the results are going to be the same.
Right.
So, adding new dynamics to it to help supplement the areas where you feel are lacking in your life would be the key. Because owning your own business, you can allow a multitude of processes to coexist inside of it in terms of the structure. Obviously, the business structure that you have implemented has been working to whatever degree it's been working to be able to sustain and to gain and to learn and to create and things like that. So having that underlying foundational business structure as a part of the bigger one is good to have because you're experiencing that. That will bring in the bread, maybe the monotonous jobs, the repetitive jobs, but maybe leaving that to somebody else to manage, or having just having different people wearing different hats to manage that for you, and now implementing another dynamic into it where you get to have a creative opening. Because the business structure and doing the work for the people and having those day-to-day grinds is important, but put somebody else in that position because you already walked that path. Right. A new deal. Because as much as it might be mentally draining and not as creatively inspiring for you right now, the new person that you put there is a new fresh deal. With that new oh dude, I'm happy to help everybody here. Bring it on. Let's do this,
Yeah.
Because you're a creative brother. And to me, you are a creative genius. Because of your relentlessness and your creativity and your love for what you do. So repeating back the same cycles over and over again, your heart's telling you dude, let's do something else. I've already proven to myself that I could do this 1,000 times, after 1,000 songs, 1,000 videos. Teach someone, create that team now, because you can have the capacity to in a bigger place. Give those responsibilities off, and then now give the new, maybe bigger creative jobs to you, the new things to tackle, because that's growth. Growth doesn't necessarily mean just having your roots grow inside of the pot and the plant still stays the same. The roots will grow more with the bigger capacity you have, but the only way for the plant to grow up is to reach for the light. And the only person that's gonna reach for the light is you. Meaning diving into the newer creative projects. Whether that's new levels like filmmaking or shooting National Geographic animal videos, whatever it is, right? Whatever rubs that creative itch inside of you. Let the structure handle it, put the new heads there, and go off into the wild again. Because that's where you're best.
Yeah.
That's where you are the best version of yourself, because it's the unknown. A lot of people that I've spoken to that I can remember recently always come up to me like, man, I wish I was an artist. I wish I had that creative drive. I wish I could envision things. And I look at them and I kind of, and not to cast a shadow on anyone or look down on anyone, but it's just I look at their day-to-days and what they do with their lives. And a lot of times, from what I can see and decipher, is that most of these people never took risks in their lives. In terms of oh, I don't think I can speak in front of a crowd. Oh, I don't think I want to draw something or try because it was gonna look like shit anyways.
Or what would I get out of it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me just go get the paycheck and just go get taught something, and I'll just do that over and over and over and over again. And that's my life, and I'm more successful than you because I just can do more of this more consistently and take more workloads and collect a bigger paycheck for the bigger workload I'm taking. And I think that's society's hierarchy of just the lack of creatives, the workhorses, the workloads. And when they tell me those things, and that's what I see as a reoccurring phenomenon in these people, it makes me have the urge to tell them, dude, I wasn't born with these gifts.
Hell no.
Like I wasn't born with all the experience I have now.
Yeah.
I had to take risk.
Yeah. Let alone giving it.
Yeah. You know, the risk of like, what the fuck are people gonna think when I show them this picture?
Yeah. Especially while starting out.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of fears. Getting shitted on, getting put down, judged, made fun of, even just in life, right? People have all these insecurities. Oh, I need to put on this whole. I need to wake up and make sure that I have all of these things and put this mask on, you know, and this is how the world's gonna see me. This perfect version I have of myself. To whatever extent, some people's way more than others, right? Because a lot of people hide behind their material artifacts,
right?
And yeah, I feel like the more that people are inclined to do all those things that I just said, their creativity, their emotions completely ripped out of them. You know, they fall into the sheep and the same old day-to-day cycles of the structured societies. In that sense, you know, which is for business in this society. It's just something we have to do to be a gear in the wheel of the financial structures of life. So we have to provide those day-to-day structures of, okay, they're gonna come in, this is the process, this is how you're gonna handle it, this is how you collect the check. Allow that process to happen so you can still be a cog in this system, a gear in this system. And then boom, okay, now just go creative. To be financially stable, right? I feel like that is the best solution that I can come up with for that project. Yeah. Considering all the elements. Yeah.
You know, my wife said, God, I'm gonna butcher it. But along these lines, it was like, we came into each other's lives at the moment when we really needed it, because we've walked similar paths and we're able to find solace within each other. And she said it was something along the lines of like, when you have that sense of, call it community, right? Even if it's just you and me. I am noticing that it has made my life better.
She said that about you and her, or
about you and me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's like, because, you know, I could express how I feel to her and what I'm going through, but
absolutely,
she might not be able to really feel the intensity of it because she never tried that path, right? But man, having you has been allowing me to live better. I'll find that quote for you later so that it'll be a lot clearer. But I bring that up because I didn't think about it, you know? The autopilot part of me did not allow that processing to happen, right? Because I guess my assumption was I was gonna do whatever the fuck I was doing here, but there, right? And I already know what that's doing to me, right? But I have changed. I have done different things a little differently, and kind of like you with like lessening back on the obligations and whatnot, or having the power to choose what you want to do. On my end, it's like I'm getting a lot of joy again by really choosing what I want to do, whether it comes with money or not. And that's it's not a good business model, but it brings me joy again. For example, I shared with you like flipping a song, right? Taking the ingredients that it was, because we're builders. We like to tinker with shit, yes. Right? And we'll see it become something. And I had a vision for it, and the client trusted in it. Luckily, that one came with money, right? But I think you're absolutely right. I think that's where I need to change into a different version of Dale so that I don't run into that passive anxiety again, or making ends meet, you know. When I do go to that warehouse, to not do it the same way I'm doing it here, to do it differently. Because I already walked down that path. I know what it looks like. But now it's going to be more intense.
First of all, tell your wife that was very kind of her to say that. And I respect that. And you already know how much I appreciate our friendship. Even being able to sit here and have this conversation. Outside too, you know, those talks we have.
Yeah, with or without cameras.
Yeah. Even that underlying understanding where we just like, where we're in the room and we're working on a production or a business or anything, it's just like, at least I know this guy understands, you know? Like if I say, man, I'm tired, or like, man, this is like, I have an opinion on something, at least there's someone in the room that I know that can understand what I'm feeling, you know? It's comfort in that. The structure is important. I don't think anything's wrong with the business plan in terms of finances and just the order of operations that you have, just in that technical sense, right? But now that I'm thinking about this, maybe we're not numb because of the overload of work.
Interesting.
Maybe we are just mentally flatlined because it's all of the things that we're doing repetitively, it's just too easy. Like in terms of the work itself.
Right.
Like it's too easy. Like we could do it with our eyes closed. We know the whole system of it. Because I'm thinking about this now, you know how I'm saying like, oh yeah, I put the technical structure into your business and then now you have to add the creative side to it. Maybe it's not we are overstimulated. Maybe it's because being the creatives and the passionate people we are, like, I remember one of the biggest spiritual satisfactions I've had in recent time was when you allowed me to start working on a song.
Go on.
I remember going through that process and sitting in the room and watching you guys record. And maybe it was like not as, I could see in your faces that you guys were a part of it, and you know, but I was sitting in that room with all of you guys doing these productions, and I just had an overwhelming sense of joy and peace. Because I was like, this is so new, and this is just amazing watching Dale like on the computer, this person sitting here, we're bobbing our heads, listening to music, loudspeakers with really good sound, and that just filled me with this new experience where I was just like, oh, this is so sick. I want to make music. I want to try this, you know? Like, ooh, it's like, it just like opened up this shell inside of me, you know? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe the things that we're doing is not scary enough.
Interesting.
Maybe it's not scary enough. Maybe it's not like, because another experience besides that, right, is I went to an amusement park the other day. You know this?
Yeah.
And
or twice, right?
Twice.
Yeah.
I remember going, the whole line, waiting, everything was just like, okay, just mentally like whatever. They're like, oh, you're excited? I was like, no, not really. I don't really care, you know?
Yeah.
But then when I got to the ride, it was like, oh, I was like, oh, this is so amazing. Like I had this thrill, right? I think that's just what we're missing. Maybe to look at this from a different angle.
That thrill of the unknown again?
Yes.
Wow.
Because being creatives, like, we need that.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. Like, fuck it, let's try it out. For all the failures and success that is going to come with.
Very interesting. Very interesting, man. The constant dreading of it, well, not dreading of it, but like being overwhelmed by it, didn't even have like a shred of that thought process, right? But if we were able to like tap into that new thought process, I wonder where life will go.
Cause essentially, wouldn't that be the same as when we first started?
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Like no, there was no guarantees.
Yeah.
You know, ain't nobody holding our hands.
Yeah.
You know, no handouts.
What if in the beginning you met younger Dale and you went back to the younger Dale, you're like, I got all this equipment, we're gonna fly to Peru tomorrow. We're gonna film some hot superstars and record some songs, and it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be great video production, and we're gonna show the whole world. What would young Dale say?
Young, inexperienced, don't know what's happening, Dale?
Yes. It just picked up the camera.
Fuck it.
But it would be more exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, it's an adventure.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Huh.
Right? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it all along. Maybe we've been seeing it the wrong way.
Yes. Because where we came from to what we were able to achieve so far, I was like, damn, that was crazy. And now in our minds, being creatives and visionaries, we extrapolate that. We multiply it in our heads. And maybe what's killing us is like, why aren't we going to try and do that? Why are we flatlining right here?
Yeah. Why are we letting the thoughts overwhelm us and not taking action on it?
Yeah. Why am I stuck into my day-to-days? Why am I still doing the same thing over and over again?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not I'm doing too much of the same thing over and over again. I'm just not doing anything new. You know? Isn't that a crazy thought?
Yeah, dude. This yeah.
Yeah. Then fuck it. Like, why not? The unknown is exciting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. That's gonna be something I'm gonna marinate a lot on.
That just made me breathe a little easier thinking about that.
Yeah.
I felt like my lungs opened up a little bit after just saying that out loud. Like that
and I don't know if you noticed, but like, I haven't stopped cheesing since we said that.
Yes.
Maybe that is, huh?
Yeah. Cause let's look at the facts. You already, both of us actually, we've already established that we weren't gonna work a day-to-day job and collect a paycheck.
Oh yeah.
Like fuck that.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we doing now?
Working to get that check to make ends meet.
Yes. Same thing.
What the fuck?
With the structure that we created.
Right.
With the workload that we have invited. Maybe it was challenging at one point, but now it's just like maybe a beat that would have took you 3 hours to make before, you can make it 3 minutes now. It's just too easy. Why am I doing this? What am I proving to anybody? I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. But I need to prove it to myself because I could, as wowed as other people may be, I'm not wowed anymore. Yeah. If we're doing ourselves a disservice, we know it inside.
Yeah.
That we are doing ourselves a disservice and running from it, maybe because of that fear again. Because now we have stability, it's too easy. Okay, man, what is this thing that's causing me to be so numb nowadays? Like, I wonder what it is. It's still that same scared, ambitious, young creative inside of us that was stopping us from doing it before. And we just had to take that leap. Say, fuck it, I don't give a fuck, I'm all in. That person is buried because we conquered whatever it is, you know? because think about it. Don't we sound snobby talking like this compared to that person? Like, oh man, like I don't know what to do. Like I just have so much work nowadays. Like what? You know?
Maybe not snobby. Maybe, at least speaking on my own, right?
Yeah.
If young Dale was sitting hearing us talk about this right now, it might more so feel like ungrateful.
Yes.
That we've gotten here. You know what I mean? We're like, dude, I want all those things.
Yeah.
You have all those things. Right?
I think along those lines, yes. Yeah. I think if young Lo was sitting here, he would look at me and be like, I think you're just bored. Because just being like the fucking ruthless fucking like fuck it, you know, like you're not that person anymore right now. You're just like, I think that's what my younger self would say to me. Does that make sense though?
It's crazy because like, I mean, we've been on this journey for a hot 2-3 years now, right?
Yes.
And we kind of been like nailing the coffin on like, this is how I feel, this is how I feel, right? But then to think a young Lil would say, I think you're just bored, bro. It's like, what? These last 2-3 years, I wasn't bored. But bored is in the realm of like not experiencing new things again.
Creatively deprived.
Yeah. And not taking those leaps again.
Yes.
And not challenging yourself again.
Yeah.
Learning new things.
Yeah. Because if I'm talking to young Lo, you better follow your dreams, young man. You gotta go follow your dreams, so trust in yourself, believe in yourself. And then young Lo looks up at me and is like, what dreams are you following right now?
Fuck.
You know what? Good point. None.
Because right now I'm just an autopilot. Right?
Yeah.
I'm collecting, like you said, I'm collecting a paycheck.
Yeah.
Just to pay these bills.
But with all of that being said, brother, the last 2-3 years of learning and being self-aware and developing the mental tools to process certain things, that was a crucial.
Oh, yeah.
Crucial. You know?
For us to even have this conversation about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Openly and honestly, right?
Yeah, because that version of us was the workhorse, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just lay my head down and just keep doing.
Yeah.
Right, but now we're like, no, something's wrong. We need to fix this.
Yeah.
But it took 2-3 years to get there.
Yeah.
To even bring up these thoughts.
Imagine how much work that took. How hard that was.
Yeah.
To be honest, or at least for me, right? It's like, to be honest, about where, because I guess like when I opened up the big shop, a big debate in my mind was passion and finance.
Okay.
I couldn't equate the two. I can think of a financial structure very easily in my head, you know? But then that would take away from my passion. How do I have these two things together? That was always like a big topic for me, you know? Which made my business plan open-ended, meaning I didn't give a fuck what happened, you know? And yeah, like you said it beautifully, we just put our head down, just get to work. But isn't that the same thing as working at a job?
Fuck. The whole reason we didn't want to have that job.
Yes.
And then we made it our reality.
Yeah. Maybe our pride and our egos was stopping us from being like, no, that can't be it. No way I'm not being creative enough. And then just jumping out of that stability that we have built to jump into that hungry creative mind again. You know, teach me. I need to learn more. Give me something that's like, it's gonna shake my boots, you know? Or just gives me a thrill, you know? Craving that dopamine. And that, like, just that need for that, you know? That excitement.
Maybe. a lot to process.
I literally just thought of that right now.
While we're talking.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like, at least for myself, sometimes I'm just wallowing in like the same thought process over and over again, not really figuring things out. Sure, I'm like, okay, I see things certain ways, and then it's not making me feel any better. Okay, like, okay, cool, like, I understand this about myself, I'm aware about this myself. I can catalog all the events that have happened recently. It's not making me feel any better. You know? Sometimes it does though, because like, the like things in my mind and just hearing new perspectives when I talk to you, like it makes me feel it feels nice, a breath of fresh air. But essentially though, like mentally, I still don't feel as stimulated. That's speaking personally, you know, that numbness is still there. But instead of thinking of it as a numbness that's being caused by an over workload, I think it's just a mental flatline from a lack of spark.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it.
Yeah, could be.
Because I think there's one part of it, the numbness too, because not to like take away from like the experiences, it's just the large amount of thinking that's required for a workload, you know? Let me ask you a question. So let's say in the peak of the last 2 or 3 years where that numbness was prevalent, right? And you had a lot of work on your hands. Let's say like the days and weeks you were clocking like 10 to 12, 16 hours.
Yeah.
Okay? Can you remember a time, can you name 1 or 2 or 3 of those projects that made you excited? Like really like, oh fuck yeah, I can't wait to do this. Like I think if you have to think about it,
it doesn't come to mind.
Yeah.
Because it just did to do it.
Yes.
At that time, you know, to get the bills paid or something, right?
Yeah. It's easy. Didn't have no spark inside of you. So we're just constantly searching, with the same thing we're used to over and over again, overfilling ourselves. We can take it because we know that we can do it with our eyes closed. So we're just taking all of it, as much as possible, and we're not really finding what we were looking for, or at least not aware that like we were depriving ourselves creatively. Until one day, you're just like, I've had enough. Why is the same fucking thing over and over again? And that creative inside of you is just like, oh, because you need to go do something new, homie. You know what I mean?
Now, on the contrary, that question has led me to think, what was a spark over the last few years? And for me, if I can't remember the project that I worked on for fucking 50, 60 hours, the spark that I do remember, and we're gonna have to dive deep into this later, right? But was definitely being on stage.
In what sense?
Performing.
Yeah. For your album?
For my albums.
Okay.
Yeah. Or singular. For my album, for the dance shows, like,
yeah.
Those sparks is what I should be going towards more.
My therapist says follow the dopamine. That's what she means. Follow the thing that makes you feel excited again. And that is the way out of depression. Do the scary things. Maybe not the way out of depression. She didn't say that verbatim, but she said follow the dopamine. And if that's what you can remember, like, yeah, maybe. It's good to have being responsible adults, and obviously for you because you have mouths to feed, bro. Having the financial structure and that stability of it in terms of that production order of operations on how that production is produced. Super, super important.
Yeah. Get that built.
Yeah. In terms of a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
You have the staple foods that you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pho restaurant. You want to sell the same pho every day. People come in there. It's gonna be monotonous work for somebody in there.
Yeah.
It might be a new bowl of food for somebody, for a customer. It might be the same bowl of food, but that's what they want. You need that to have the financial stuff.
Yeah.
While you, the chef, the owner, can go and try to create some new dishes.
Yeah. That person shouldn't be the one working the cashier, cooking the food,
Yes.
serving and talking and
Yes.
cleaning, and
Maybe in the beginning, right?
you had to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Didn't have the luxury to
Exactly.
like have this team, right?
Exactly.
But now that we're more aware, and now that we can,
Yes.
why would we walk down that path again?
Yes. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Why would you still be a busboy in your own restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you be the dishwasher in your own restaurant?
Mm.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, man. Holy shit, bro. I think we should end it here.
It's been a pleasure. I'm off now.
Time to figure out what that spark is again. And work towards it. Maybe it wasn't numbness all along.
So thank you, brother. I love you so much. Thank you so much. That was an amazing conversation. I feel super happy and juiced right now.
Yeah.
You know how you like to end the podcast on a quote that we love or something?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, right? You have different variations of it. I have one for you.
Talk to me.
What is your favorite scene from any movie that you can remember, and why?
That I made or that I watched?
No, that you either or that you made or watched.
Oh.
Preferably something that you watched, something that was created. It's a scene in a movie that just speaks out to you for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious. I just want to know. Or even a show.
The one that comes to my mind is, God, I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was with Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan, where he was a lawyer trying to get this guy out of life in prison.
Okay.
And I was watching this movie on a plane from filming in Mexico, flying back home. Kevin's sitting right there, right? And this is more recent, within the last few years. Obviously I've watched quite a bit of movies in my time, but it sticks out to me because it's representative of my hope and my story, I guess. I'm wanting, because the scene was like him actually, the lawyer, going through and actually getting the guy out of jail from being in there for life. And that gave me so much hope because my brother is serving life. And that is, when that happened and he got free, while I was watching on the plane, fucking started crying, dude. Because I hoped that would be us one day. And I just thought it was so beautifully filmed because it was able to put my feet in those shoes. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for even letting me ask that question, and thank you for sharing that, bro. That I love your authenticity and your honest answer with that, and I'm grateful that you feel comfortable sharing that with somebody like me, and it means a lot, man. Thank you, man. That's hopefully we can talk about that more.
Mm-hmm.
I want to.
Yeah.
Not only just the minds of creatives and our day-to-day workflows and things like that, but just how we navigate through the personal issues in our lives that we wish to share, every day, because it's like we have to battle it every day. We live every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. That was awesome. I'm gonna have to watch that movie now.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later. You know, before we came here, I came up with like I texted you a list of items that we could talk about.
Yes.
We didn't talk about any of that shit.
I skimmed through it earlier. Yeah.
I skimmed through it right before we started, and I'm glad we didn't follow. You know, we kind of let things go where our minds needed to go.
Yes, sir.
And kind of like you, I do feel a little lighter today. At least right now. Yeah.
Let's end it right there, brother.
Shit! Let's call it a day, bro.